This NASCAR Championship Weekend DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Cody, we have reached the last episode of the of the season at all, as far as racing is concerned. Don't cry. Don't cry.
Oh, my God. Sorry. I've been taking lessons from my daughter. Oh, just kidding, kid. Sorry. Yeah, it is sad. This is the last regular season episode of the season, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Is it the regular season? Because it's the playoffs. This is the championship, man. But it's the last one of the NASCAR season of 2024.
Touche.
Yeah, but we're here to talk DFS. We're here to talk DFS as we always have been all season long, and then we're going to end the show with some of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays as well. So, yeah, buddy, we are at Phoenix. We have reached the very last race of this, and if this is the only episode that you listen to all week long, first of all, welcome to the DFS episode, as we always welcome you. But next season, change that. I feel like you should listen to all the episodes because there's glimmers of nuggets of good stuff in each one of them.
Yeah, and I get it, right? Betting's not legal in every state. Sign up for
almost.
By the way, you can use that, but it has become more legal in more states, right? Missouri just passed on their ballot initiative here during the election this past week, which is great, obviously, right? It's not kicked in yet, but they've got it coming, so that's wonderful. And I know we've got multiple friends over in the Discord and listeners that are going to be glad they don't have to drive to the Kansas border or whatever to place their bets, which is really nice. So. But even if fantasy is all you play or DFS games or whatever, the betting information still comes in handy for that. And hey, yeah, we give out, betting picks, but we're also just talking about the races and breaking everything down. It's, so make sure you join us. It's definitely a good time.
And then just for those of you who, again, maybe just listen to just this episode, we try to talk about different drivers on this. We don't always talk about the same drivers on the DFS show too, because we try to be a little bit different. We try to not talk about the same drivers all week long. So again, you're missing out on some of the other drivers that we think are going to do well. And so, we try to keep this DFS episode to a manageable chunk of time for you with the right amount of information to get you through. But yeah, again, if you really want a more broader look at it next season, consider listening to all the episodes of this show because we'd appreciate it. And I know you'll get something out of it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Rob.
Indeed. But thank you all anyways for listening because it definitely is a great way to keep this show going into another season. But another great way to do that is, of course, to rate the show. Rate it 5 stars if you like it. I'm noticing as I'm pulling up my Spotify app that the number of 5-star ratings continues to just grow and grow and grow. You guys have been listening to us ask you to do it, and you have been doing it and taking it upon yourself. So if you have not already, which I already have, so I can't necessarily re-rate it 5 stars. Go give it a 5-star rating. We see the number climb. The bosses see the number climb. They would love to fight corporate gambling and continue this show. And the way to do that is through your 5-star reviews. So thank you very much. And then college basketball, it's back. And if you aren't already subscribed to the College Experience for their daily picks podcast, breaking it all down, fix that. Go over there, subscribe to that one as well, and listen to all of Colby Dance and Moneyline Max picks and no leans, just picks for college basketball season.
Yeah, we don't do that leaning crap over here on this network, Rod. All picks for you. And yeah, there's a ton of great shows. If you don't know, that's obviously one of the many on this wonderful, wonderful network. And yeah, we love it here.
Indeed. All right. So we are, like we said, getting set for all 3 series in action this weekend, and they're all crowning a champion at the end of it. So we're at the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. The trucks, this is a very brief and tidy 150 laps around this mile paved track for 150 miles. It's going to click off quickly. Since this is a 1 mile track, these track times are not, or the lap times are not really that long. So this will be a pretty tidy race, barring cautions, of course, but should be a pretty tidy race.
Yeah, that's what we hope anyways. Right.
Fingers crossed for that one. Okay. So just to put it into reference, there were 12 cautions last year. And by the way, trucks only come to this track once. So they don't come twice a year. So they only have 1 year worth of data per year for this, but 12 cautions rather, 77 laps. Oof.
Yeah. And Truck Series got bad at the end of the race last year, Rod. Yeah, we had guys just intentionally wrecking each other, and it was like, okay, time for this to be over for the year. But that'll happen, and something you got to watch out for, I suppose.
Yep. And also, just be careful you don't get slapped at the end of a race, because that is never a good outcome.
Luckily for the truck drivers, Chandler Smith is in the Xfinity Series route.
Womp womp. Gotta love that. All right, but so here's what we'll do, as we always do each and every week. We will give you our favorite building block for for all 3 series, rather, for the Truck Series, for the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series, and then we'll come back and we'll give you our underdog picks for the slate as well. So, I mean, Cody, we've come down to the end of the week. We've told everybody what they need to know, and now I think it's just time to load them up with some DFS plays. What about you?
I couldn't agree more, Rod. Yeah, we've set, that's another reason to listen to the whole week, right? We've set everything up. We've talked about all there is to talk about news-wise and, the details of these races. Now it's just time to make fantasy picks. So first up for me, Rod, going to the Truck Series, Stuart Friesen, our guy, our favorite Canadian Truck Series driver. He is $8,000 this week. Rod, he has been pretty good at Phoenix over the years. Not so good last year, 24th place finish. But you know what? Shit happens. That's okay. Previous to that, 5th place in 2022, 2nd place in 2021, 6th place in 2020, won this race in 2019, leading 44 laps on the day, 5th place in 2018, 6th place in 2017. His first career start back in 2016 was an 18th place finish, but those 5 race, or how many is that? 6 races. I can count. Don't worry. The 6 races in between his first and last start here, Rod. He's been inside the top 6 at the end of the day in all 6 races. You love to see that. And then, we've talked a lot about Friesen this year, and it was a fairly disappointing season, and he had his share of struggles, but they've sort of turned it around and kind of figured some stuff out down the stretch here. 10th place finish last week at Martinsville after starting 20th. That's a solid day for you. 6th place at Miami, the Homestead Miami track there. 12th place starting position there. Talladega's Talladega, but had a good day. 13th place finish. Rough day at Kansas, but 9th at Bristol. So that's a short track, right? So we like to see that. Go back to Gateway, another one of the shorter, flatter tracks we've had on the schedule here. Starts in 6th place, finishes in 8th. That's a solid day for where he's at with this price. North Wilkesboro, short, flat track. 10th place finish off of an 11th place start. So you like to see, I like what I've seen out of Stuart Friesen here kind of down the stretch, finishing out the season strong. Again, we've had the conversation all week. Which drivers take it off? Which drivers are looking forward to vacation? Stuart Friesen doesn't know what vacation is, Rod. He's probably been in 6 modified races this week already. He's the Kyle Larson of the Truck Series. Dude's racing modifieds with his wife everywhere all the time. flying back and forth. He's just a racer. He doesn't stop. Truck Series might end. Stuart Friesen season's not over. He'll be going right to the next track and getting back in the race car. You don't have to worry about him taking this one off or coasting into the off season and on to vacation, because vacation for him is just living at the racetrack, Rob.
There's those people that just love what they do, and Stuart Friesen is one of those guys that just loves what he does. Like, I really truly believe that if he wasn't driving, he'd be driving. Like, and I don't mean like if he wasn't driving, he'd be, driving another race. No. If he wasn't driving, he'd be a FedEx driver or a UPS driver or a truck driver. Like, he would still be driving. So, definitely, I can't argue with you. This is the last time of the year that I can pull my heartstring for my favorite Canadian driver that's actually from Canada. So I'm with you on the Stuart Friesen train. Just please have a good finish this time around. Like, finish it off. We see you run good.
Come on, Stewie, we believe in you.
Believe in you. Like, when I see you next, I want to drink a Molson with you, my friend.
That's right.
That's where we're at. So all right. So for my truck driver, I'm going to pick the favorite son of one Michael Waltrip and our favorite camera operator in the Truck Series, Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye comes in at 69.
Nice.
There you go. For Colleague Racing. And look, Daniel Dye, he will give you a negative 5 points day. He will. He's the kind of guy that can either give you a negative 5 points day, a 37 or a 75 point day, or a negative 1 point day, or a negative 15 point day, or 43 or 42. So 1000% a GPP play, because people are going to be loading up on the playoff drivers, right? People are going to be taking the Eckeses of the world, the Heims of the world. People are going to be loading up on those guys, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, they are going to be scoring the most points for you for sure. But Daniel Dye may get a little picked over because it's not necessarily always a sexy play. And so this is where you can get in. Last week, if you were to take him, like we said, not a good finish, 32nd at Martinsville. But before that, 7th at Miami, Homestead, Miami, 3rd at Talladega, like Cody said, right? It's Talladega, but look, he got you 75 points in that instance. 35th is where he started. 3rd is where he finished. Milwaukee Mile, 10th place start, 8th place finish. Not bad there. 8th place finish at Richmond. Bad day at IRP. They happen, especially for a young driver. 2nd at Nashville, though. 12th at Gateway after a 14th place start. 9th at North Wilkesboro after an 18th place start. See the trend here. 9th place at Kansas. 6th place at Texas. 13th at Martinsville, but he did start 23rd in that race. So a pretty good start and finish there. So again, Daniel Dye has just been ruggedly solid for DFS in spite of some of the hiccups that he's had, but he's averaging 25 fantasy points per race, which is still not bad for a $6,900 salary. But, again, this is just the playoff drivers are going to do what the playoff drivers are going to do. And they are probably going to end up taking up the first 4 spots in the race unless somebody wrecks out. So, you got to count on somebody that's not them and somebody that's in that middle range that can save you money, so you can put a couple of those guys up there, because you're going to want 1, if not 2, of the playoff drivers, and you got to get creative outside of that. So I think Daniel Dye offers a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I agree. We know he's in a fast truck, right? His teammate racing for the championship over there with Christian Eckes. They've got fast trucks, and we've seen the progression we've seen from Daniel Dye this year has just been really a thing of beauty. Roddy's still got his moments, right? You highlighted that, and sometimes you're going to have the issues, and that could scare people off of him, which great. That means it's less ride, right? And more of an advantage for you when he does hit. But yeah, love what I've seen from Daniel. A lot of on-track time this weekend. He's going to be in the Xfinity Series as well, driving for colleagues. So, extra seat time as far as practicing and stuff. Obviously, that race is after the truck race. But, yeah, I think that it'll be a pretty good weekend for Daniel, and I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I think the fact that he even got himself an Xfinity ride in and of itself speaks a lot to what he's actually done over the course of the season. Because, I mean,
Yeah,
again,
he's actually earned that Xfinity. I mean, not that everybody hasn't earned it, but he's one of them where it's like, yeah, you've seen the steady progression of, okay, maybe he could use another year in the trucks, right? But he's definitely progressed and gotten better. So it's not crazy to move him up. It's not one of those deals where it's like, why did he get that ride? I think he has earned it, and it's been good to see from him.
Yeah, it most certainly has. So, again, yep, Daniel Dye is that pick. So we'll get back and we'll give you some of our favorite Xfinity picks, because that is where we were moving on. But first, let me officially tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports: NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, and so much more. You can also use specials and boosts on all flex entries right now. Going to use ours on the 4. We got 4 picks for you later on in the show, so make sure you stick around for those. And in the meantime, though, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Well, Cody, the NASCAR Xfinity Series race takes place this weekend as well. We will crown a champion in that as well, and we are going to the same track, lest you guys think that they're, going to be in different places. They will not. However, Xfinity, 200 miles or 200 laps around this 1.00 mile paved track for 200 miles, which is a pretty simple math to do with this 1 mile track. But yeah, buddy, this again is another instance where there's going to be a lot of people probably heading straight to the top, trying to load up on these playoff drivers, because obviously they're the ones that are jockeying for a championship. And the easiest way to do that is to win the race. So out of Allgaier, Allmendinger, Custer, these guys that are up there trying to jockey for a spot, right? And then, why am I forgetting the last? Allmendinger, Allgaier, Custer, and Hill. See, Big Country, you're so good of a driver.
Rod is sleeping on Austin Hill. Oh boy, I gave him out as the winner earlier this week, Rod. And you're forgetting he's even in this race. I can't believe you. But not only is Austin Hill in this race, Cole Custer is in this race. I'm going straight to the top of the board, not fucking around here. You could. I know you mentioned going through and highlighting other drivers, but I think this week, I want to drive home the point of these guys that I'm on, I am on. And Cole Custer is one of these guys. I have not been this on Cole Custer since I said he was going to have 10 wins last season, Rod, prior to the season. Don't go back and listen to that again, because obviously I was not correct. But he did win the championship, so I wasn't completely off track there. I think he's going to repeat that championship this weekend in Phoenix, get it done once again. And he has just been really, really good at Phoenix since returning to the Xfinity Series. Ran 5th place here in the spring, but he did lead 61 laps, so that is obviously good. You want to get those laps led when you're getting a guy that's this expensive. Won here in the fall last season, Rod, 96 laps led. There's 200 laps in this race exactly, I do believe you had mentioned. And that's almost half the race, which is what you're going to need from a guy that's this expensive to really pay off. You go back to 2023 in the spring, 12th place finish, so a little disappointing, but again, led 38 laps in that race. And then his previous start in the Xfinity Series prior to that had been all the way back in 2019. Of course, he had a couple of seasons on the Cup Series, but a 2nd place finish then as well. Coming off a 4th place finish last week, 2nd at Miami, 8th at Las Vegas. Short tracks lately, Rod. Led 104 laps at Bristol, won the race there. Led 114 laps at New Hampshire, the closest comp track we have, en route to a 3rd place finish. That's a very strong DFS day. 6th place at Iowa. Cole Custer, we've talked about it all season as far as the betting aspect. He's been hard to bet on because he is sort of chalky. And he is again this week being the top of the line guy, right? He's the most expensive guy in DFS. He's a favorite to win the race. But I'm buying Cole Custer hook, line, and sinker. I think he is the most expensive guy for a reason. I think he is the favorite for a reason. He's been really good here. He's been on fire lately. He got it done last year in this very same race. I think he gets it done again. So I'm all over Cole Custer, $11,000. He's there's almost no way he doesn't. I can't really think of a way he won't be in my lineup, right? If he starts up front, good. He's going to jump out early and lead laps. If he starts mid-pack, he's going to get place differential and get up there. If he starts in the back, goes to a backup car, whatever, he's going to get a lot of place differential points coming from the back too. I am in on Cole Custer this week, and he's essentially a lock in my lineup. I don't really can't think of any situation why I would take him out. So I will be very, very heavy on Cole Custer this week.
Do you think it's wise to build at least one roster? Because I know a lot of people play multi-entry. I know a lot of people like one bullets. Some people like to throw it around. But do you think it's wise to begin maybe at least have four lineups and have each playoff driver kind of highlight that? Because you talk about Cole Custer, he's $11,000. Allgaier's 10-8. And then you go down to Austin Hill, who's 95. I mean, that's crazy that Austin Hill is that cheap. And then AJ Allmendinger at
Hill and Allmendinger. It's the same. Again, this is why you listen to the betting episode, even for the DFS portion of things, because they're being super disrespected. I think you can get Hill and Allmendinger in a lineup, along with Custer or Allgaier. Pick your poison, right? Whichever way you want to go. You're still, so for your other three spots, you still have an average of $6,700. And so, you're going to highlight a guy that could save you a little bit of money here in a second. He's at
76.
76. Is he? 75. Geez, you're trying to charge more than he actually costs, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the
but then, I mean, that still leaves you the opportunity to get some other guys in here that can score you some points. You toss in like a Leland Honeyman. He's a go-to cheap guy I like. And then you could still get Ryan Sieg. Like, I actually like this lineup a lot, Rod.
Yeah.
So tell us, fill in the blank. Who's the other guy? But I think, I mean, Hill and Allmendinger, and then pick your poison, right? Build some with Custer, build some with Allgaier. I think that's a good base, at least, to start a lot of your lineups. And again, we'll see where everybody starts. We'll see how practice looks, all these things. But they're definitely giving you some options. And these are the championship four. They're going to find their way at least close enough to have a shot at times in this race. And that could pay off big time in DFS.
Yeah, and then, the chances of them leading laps too just are very much up there because they're going to want to be up front. So, I'm with you on that. That's actually a fun little build while we were talking too.
Yeah.
And the driver that we were talking about that's going to unlock some of that possibility for you is Parker Kligerman. I know that we didn't talk about him much on the betting episode, but again, we kind of focused a little bit more on the championship four drivers, and because we do think they're going to factor into, and of course, the books don't necessarily always give us, they don't give us top 10s. And top 5, it's hard to do with there's 4 drivers already factored in. We're gonna make a petition. We're gonna start writing these guys over the offseason.
Maybe, Rod, this will be the last time we'll ever not have top 10s in Xfinity.
What
about that? What if we come back next year, Daytona, Xfinity Series race, and we have top 10s?
I would cry. I would cry.
So fucking beautiful. I will. You thought I cried good at the beginning of the show. It'll be real tears, buddy.
They'll be literal. Just I don't even have to act it. It'd be
oh my god, so happy, guys.
All right, Parker Kligerman. He's my pick, anyways, for the Xfinity Series DFS part of it. And really, if you just look at his Phoenix results as a driver, as far as DFS purposes go, this is like a lock. And he's $7,500. Right, he's not 76. I kind of shortchanged him by a little bit, but Kligerman at $7,500. His career starts here. Back in 2013, actually, was probably the worst time he out. And then in 2020 or 2013 in the spring, 19th place finish on 11th place start in the 77, and then a 12th place start and an 8th place. Or backtrack that, a 12th place finish on an 8th place start in that 77 car. The numbers, we're at the end of the season now. The numbers are just jumbling up. But in the 48, boy, I tell you got to love it because he's started in the back in just about every single race that he's been in. He started 37th in the spring of 2023, drove it all the way to a 15th place finish. That is a fantastic DFS day. I don't know what his price was that day, but I would have loved to have had him in my lineup. In the fall of 2023, started 30th. You're like, oh, man, Parker, what are you doing? He finished 16th. That day. That's another solid DFS day for him. What did he do in the spring? Well, he started 12th and he finished in 8th place. So not a lot of place differential, but a really solid points day as far as where he finished. I go back and what he's done lately. 7th place at Richmond, which is a really good day on a shorter track. 12th place at Dover. He started 15th that day. 6th place at Darlington. He started 11th place that day. 11th at Iowa. He started 10th, kind of lost a spot there, but at Loudon, he gained a spot, started 8th, finished 7th. Nashville, not really a good day there, 16th after starting 10th. But he did have a 6th place finish at the Roval, 5th place at Las Vegas, heading into this race, 11th place at Homestead, 8th place at Martinsville. So he's on a tear right now where he's got 3 of 4 finishes inside of the top 10 for Parker Kligerman. So I really do love his chances to have a good DFS day at Michigan. Started 22nd, finished 11th. He's averaging right now on the season. Why do I click off of things when I want to? 33.5 fantasy points per race. And believe it or not, that is the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth best on the board, but fifth best in terms of active drivers for Parker Kligerman. He is averaging the fifth most fantasy points per race because you got to take Zilich out of there. Zilich is at 47, but he's only been in 2 races. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to active drivers, and Eric Almirola, so actually make that fourth. It goes Chandler Smith, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier, and Parker Kligerman. Almirola and Zilich sit on top, but they've not been in as many races. So Parker Kligerman, damn good DFS play.
Yeah, you want to talk about guys that aren't going to quit? It's his last full-time race in the, well, I think in his career probably, right? It sounds like he's just going to be a part-time guy after this. If even that, I don't know that I've heard of part-time plans even. So, going to focus more on the broadcasting things. But, yeah, you're going to get full effort from him. And he's just, like, what we've seen from him lately has been there. It's been good. They had a great playoff run. It ended a little earlier than they wanted it to, but that team has continued to improve and continue to be really good with him. I'm sad that he's leaving the team next year because I'd like to see another year of them all together and with what they accomplished this season under their belts. Hopefully Nick Sanchez can kind of pick that up, taking over that ride. But, I love Kligerman this week, and I think that he's a great play.
Indeed. Yeah, it will be sad to see him go. I'm sure he'll miss it. I'm sure he'll be on the track on those days and think about climbing into the car. But, sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. And that lucrative television career is not a bad way to fall back. So,
yeah. And I think we'll still see him part-time here and there, kind of, which is what he's done in the past. I mean, prior to these last 2 seasons, he's just been a part-time guy for a while. So I think we'll still get that from him.
I hope so. All right, we'll give you our cup drivers in a second, but first, let me tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press Build a Model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Now, you can track props in the Rhythm app, and Rhythm just launched their college basketball models as well. Working on mine right now for Thursday Night Football. I want to know which side of the Derrick Henry rushing prop to be on. Listen, my heart says over, so I'm hoping that Rhythm backs me up on it, but if it doesn't, I will trust it and go under the prediction, and we'll go from there. But like I said, I really think Derrick Henry is going to run for days and days and days against the Bengals, so I'm hoping Rhythm backs me up on that. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency. Here, Dogecoin's back on the rise, so you might want to get in on that and get lightning fast payout. U.S. players are always welcome. We give you tons of our favorite BetUS bets over the course of the betting episode, so go listen and pick one of your favorites as well. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book.
I need to get in this Dogecoin before you and Justin single-handedly make it have a comeback here, Rod.
Bro, I can't. I mean, what was it, 2018, 2019, or was it 2020? I don't remember when it was. Everybody was like, hold.
I'm pretty sure there was a Dogecoin Xfinity car back in the day.
There was.
We'll have to look that up. And there was there. Okay, yeah, I thought that there was. So I thought. Yeah. And I thought you were about to reach down and grab the die cast. You're like, oh no, I've got it right here.
Oh no, that'd be fantastic.
That would be fantastic.
But no, yeah, I'm not hyped on the Dogecoin anymore.
All right, Rod. Enough of the Dogecoin. Back to the racing. Let's move over to the Cup Series, shall we? You're not going to save money on the Championship 4 in this one, Rod. Just to set it up, because neither of us are giving out Championship 4 guys, but Blaney 11-2, Byron 11,000, Logano 10-8, Reddick 10-5. So they're not giving you any breaks on the Championship 4. They're the 4 most expensive guys. I don't necessarily agree with the order, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going right underneath of them, Rod. Christopher Bell 10,300. It is Christopher Bell week. He is going to win this race, Rod. Christopher Bell is pissed off, and Christopher Bell has something to prove. He is going to show up, and he is going to I think he's going to obliterate this field. I talked about that on the betting episode, right? Everything that transpired last week, we talked about it. Everybody's talked about it to nauseum. In a way, depending on how you look at it, kind of got screwed out of the Final Four, right? He broke the rule, so we get it, right? But man, he was in the Final Four when the checker flag fell, and then he wasn't in the Final Four. So, but I think that he's going to show up to this race. I think that he's going to show everybody, I should have been here. I'm going to win this race. I should be the champion now, and sort of walk it off. On top of that, Rod, he's really, really fucking good at this track type. Christopher Bell, this is from Ryan over at iFantasy Race. Christopher Bell at shorter flat tracks this year. That includes Phoenix, Richmond, New Hampshire, Iowa, and Gateway. Best total speed ranking, best average finish at 4.2, best average running position, best driver rating by a wide margin. He has been really, really fucking good, and he's been good not only here, on short flat tracks, but he's been good everywhere. He did win this race in the spring, led 50 laps on the day. He won stage 2, so he was kind of up there for a while. But you go back and you look, 22nd last week at Martinsville. Was it really 22nd? He got put to the back of the field, right? All that stuff. So whatever. But prior to that, Rod, 4th in Miami, 2nd in Las Vegas, 2nd at the Roval, 6th at Dega, 7th at Kansas. Oh, by the way, he led 155 laps to Las Vegas. He led 122 laps at Kansas. He was 5th at Bristol, 14th, 4th, 3rd. Like, he's been on a tear of really good runs. He just led. So the ability to lead a lot of laps. Like, if Christopher Bell shows up and he's good, he's good. He will be up front, park it up front for a long time and stay up there. We saw it at Vegas with 155 laps led. We saw it at Kansas with 122 laps led. Okay, let's go back to some short tracks. Bristol, he leads 29, but Richmond, 122 laps led at Richmond. You go back to Nashville, he led 131 laps there. Ends up with a last place finish after blowing the motor, but he was fast, led a lot of laps. New Hampshire, the most comparable track to this, Rod, 149 laps he led, and he won the race. 4th place at Iowa, 7th place at Gateway. Again, like to all of the statistics that Ryan shared, he's really, really fucking good. He is the king of short tracks currently. It seems like there's always been a guy, right? Eric Almirola, always the long shot guy you could take at the short flats. Martin Truex for a few years was just the guy at short flats. We talked about that earlier this week, right? The passing of the mantle. Christopher Bell is that guy. He's going to be fucking good this weekend. He will be in a lot of my DFS lineups and a lot of the fantasy games that I play, because I am just completely sold. Even though he's not in the Final Four, he's going to be the best car this weekend. I think he wins the race and kind of gives the bird to everybody like, hey, I should be the fucking champion. And you know how he gets, right? You saw the Netflix doc. Oh, everybody forgot about me, huh? He likes to show up, everybody, and I think he's going to do that this week. And just underneath of these championship 4, people are trying to squeeze him in. Maybe he doesn't get played as much. 10,300. I'll run with him and Reddick and fill the rest of my lineup in from there.
Yep. And we talked just a lot about him on the betting episode, and I'm really, I don't know. The only thing that really scares me about Christopher Bell at all is that he goes too hard and that he gets himself into trouble early in the race, and then that's about it. Like that's it.
Yeah. That 100% scares me too, because that could be because he could come out pissed off and then he makes a Kyle Larson type of mistake, right? And we've seen that from Bell before. It's fewer and farther between for him, but you know how it is when you're angry and when you have a point to prove, right? Then you accidentally go a little too far and shit, now we're in the wall and our day's fucked. So that is a ship I will go down on if that's the case, right?
Yeah. Or you get mad that you're behind a tour bus that is conveniently parked in between a semi and another car and won't move, and then you run over some sort of construction sign because you're pissed off and you try to just change lanes. And I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that.
This sounds oddly specific. Weird. I wonder.
Don't look at the footage from 12 hours ago on my driving. But yeah. All right. So speaking of somebody who likes to send it into the wall, how about Ross Chastain? $9,300. We did talk about him in the betting episode. I know we try to talk about other guys, but this is one that I think you have to have on your lineup because everybody else, it just seems like there's maybe a case for them, but it's just not as solid right now as Ross Chastain, other than, of course, the championship four, as Cody had talked about. So I think with Ross Chastain, won this race last season, right? And he wasn't even in the championship four, but had a good solid DFS day too to start the year off. At Phoenix, he had a 6th place finish after starting 12th. It's a pretty solid DFS day. But yeah, that 157 laps that he led last fall, just sort of like, I didn't make the championship four, but that doesn't mean I don't belong in the conversation type of a thing. So this season's been kind of rough for him. We get that, I know, but he's also got at least a couple of good solid finishes in that one car. In fact, if you really go back, and I talked about this too, he's got the 2nd best average finish at this track since February of 2021. And really, if you take out 2021 and just go from 2022 on, that dude is killing it. A 2nd place finish in the spring of 2022, 3rd place in the fall, 24th in the spring of 2023. Again, that happens. He won in 2024 or 2023 in the fall, and then 6th place in the spring. So really also, if you look at what he's done on these 1 mile tracks too, these 1 mile intermediates, a 10th at New Hampshire earlier this year, 12th at Gateway, 12th at Dover, 6th at Phoenix in the spring. Like I said, he won at Phoenix. So that's pretty solid finishes for the last 5 races on these mile intermediate tracks for Ross Chastain. And, again, $9,300 seems like a lot to pay for a guy that's not in the championship four, but his upside has a lot of potential for just doing good things for you overall. He's got on the season 14 top 10 finishes, 6 top 5s in that win. His average finish is 14.8. His average start is 16. So at least he's not losing you spots every time he gets onto the scene. He's got the upside of a Darlington, right, where he started 22nd and finished in 5th. That's a hell of a day. Richmond, same thing. Started 22nd, finished 5th. At Indy, at IRP, or Indianapolis, rather, started 28th, finished 15th. I mean, I know that's a gigantic track, but still. Had a bad day at Nashville, 30-30, crashed out there, but at Loudon in New Hampshire, we talk about New Hampshire being someplace. He started 8th, finished 10th. Iowa, 17th, finished 11th. So, some solid finishes on some shorter tracks that aren't, mile and a half, cookie cutter mile and a half. So, like I said, I really love Ross Chastain. I know he's a little pricey, but I think that's what's going to send people off of him, because they're going to be like, well, I don't want to pay $9,300 for Ross Chastain when I can, when I have to try to cram all these other guys into the lineup. So, yeah, give me Ross Chastain, $9,300.
Yeah, I love this play. We talked about him on the betting episode. Talk about guys that aren't going to quit and give up. That's Ross Chastain, right? One driver in the history of this format has ever won the Cup Series race that was not the champion rod. That's Chastain, and it was just last season. And for as disappointing of a season as Trackhouse has had, we saw him win a couple weeks ago at Kansas, right? So we know that they can get it done. So yeah, I'm all aboard and fully support this Ross Chastain play.
Beautiful. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our DFS plays for this slate for the weekend of racing between Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Cody started you off with our favorite Canadian, Stuart Friesen, at $8,000 for the truck race. I said that Michael Waltrip's favorite son, Daniel Dye, $6,900 was going to be my truck play. Cody said Cold Custard at $11,000 was his Xfinity play. I said Parker Kligerman in his very last race as a 48-car driver will be $7,500, and he is my Xfinity play. Cody said Christopher Bell, ring that bell, at $10,300 for the Cup race. I said that the Hail Melon himself, Ross Chastain, at $9,300 was my driver. All right, Cody, we will move on to our Underdog Fantasy picks for this. They got the Cup Series race up right now, so make sure you're checking back, though, for the Xfinity and Trucks as the week progresses. But we will give you our favorite plays for the Cup race. And check our socials, as we'll probably give you some Xfinity plays as well. Premise is simple, folks. You pick better than or worse than the projected finishing position that Underdog gives you, and then stack the multipliers up to as high as you feel comfortable, and then just wait for that money to come in once all of these hit. And while you're at it, use promo code RACE SGPN. You're going to get some added bonuses and a lot of fun on top of that. So, yeah, Cody, this is my favorite part, actually, by the way. I really do love Underdog picks.
Yeah, Underdog picks. It's a lot of fun. And again, you're not in a legal betting state. This gives you a way to still be able to have a fantasy game that you can play that has projections and where you're playing against yourself instead of just entering a big contest or whatever the case is, right? So, I love Underdog Fantasy. We got to get him on some off-season props, Rod. Can we get some season-long stuff?
I think we should.
Some higher, lower wins, laps led, all kinds. You could get really creative with this. We need to get in the lab and talk to them. But, Rod, for this weekend, they got my guy Tyler Reddick at better than 6.5. Underdog didn't get the memo, Rod. Tyler Reddick is about to be the Cup Series champion. I know I just talked up Christopher Bell. I think he's going to win the race. I think Tyler Reddick could win the race. If not, he's going to be right behind Christopher Bell. He is going to wrap up the championship. Been really good at Phoenix here in the past, Rod, with an asterisk, right? And we'll go through and talk about that. In the spring here, led 68 laps, second in stage one, or rather first in stage one, second in stage two. Had a slow pit stop, put him a little bit behind the ball. So let's not drop the pit stop ball here and get him out in time and wrap up that championship. Last fall, Rod, Tyler Reddick is one of those drivers that does check out early if he's not in the championship. 22nd place finish, tossing it out. It's the vacation asterisk because last spring, Rod, third place finish, fifth in both the stages up front all day long, finishes in third place. November of 2022, even in the Richard Childress racing car, guess what? He was ready for a vacation again, 23rd place. But you can't, we look and sometimes it's like, wow, they do better in the spring or they do better in the fall. I think that it's different in this race because I think that there really is people who just check out, phone it in. I hate to say that about somebody, but that appears to be the case here and what he did. But because, Rod, you go back in that 8 car to March of 2022, third place finish for Tyler Reddick, fourth in stage one, sixth in stage two. He's been really good here. When it actually mattered to him, he shows up and runs really well here. In the 5 car, in the 8 car, doesn't seem to matter. And so I'm throwing out those other fall results because I think they are very misleading. So we'll go with that. But not a good finish last week in Martinsville. The playoffs were a little bit rough for Tyler Reddick. But when he needed it and when he needed to show up, Roddy led 97 laps at Homestead, Miami, passes 2 cars on the last lap, wins his way into this race. That's the type of clutch you're looking for. That's the type of performance we need. And he's had some pretty good other days as well. Richmond, you go back there, a third place finish at that shorter, flatter track, right? Nashville, he was third place rather. New Hampshire, he finished in 6th place where he led 53 laps that day. Gateway, 4th place finish there. So he's been pretty good on this track type. Even Martinsville back in the spring, 7th place finish there. So I like it from Tyler Reddick. I think he's going to be better than 6.5. Keep in mind, he's one of those championship 4 racing for this title. We know how talented he is, Rod. I've been yelling it from the rooftops since this time last season. Tyler Reddick is fucking good. He's been showing everyone regular season champion, made it to the Final Four. Now it's time to put the cherry on top. Going to win this race, second, third, whatever it is. I think he's going to be the champion at the end of the day, and he's going to finish better than 6.5.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that this is the projection because for Tyler Reddick, it's the championship 4. I would figure that they would all be 3.5 right. or more, because they're all going to be running, and you've seen it every playoff race. Like it can get jumbled every once in a while, but like the playoff guys and the championship guys are all right there at the top. It's just yeah.
And he's the worst one in the odds for the championship. He's the worst one in the odds to win the race. He's the lowest price on DFS. I believe actually he doesn't. So Underdog does have it differently because they have what did they have Joey at? Joey's at like 13.5. I'm pretty sure. It's like very low for being a championship 4 guy, but like I think they set it properly because he's at 6.5. I don't remember what I was looking at. 6.5 makes a lot more sense, I guess. But and then you got Ryan at 3.5 and Williams at 5.5. So I guess he is tied with Joey for being the most disrespected. But I like it. Keep disrespecting Reddick. He's gonna prove you all wrong. Can't wait.
Indeed. All right. Allow me to read you some stats.
We're doing this. We gotta finish the season on this note, Rod.
The following driver. We're gonna finish the season on this note. I almost didn't do it. I almost did not do it, but I couldn't find any other one that I liked more than this.
But you couldn't help yourself. Good.
And I couldn't help myself because I've already pissed off every single fan of this guy over the course of the season. But allow me to read you. Listen, blind stats. You don't know who I'm talking about. Average.
No,
start,
actually, if we're being honest, I think that the fans might be with you at this point.
I hope so. Average start 11.6 this season. Average finish 16.8. 3 DNFs, 35 starts, 12 top 10s, 8 top 5s. Can you tell me if I gave you a finishing projection of 11.5, would you take the better than or the worse than on this particular driver? I'm telling you right now, you would take the worst then and you would run and you would say, well, this guy's not going to start. And I'll read you the last few finishes for this particular driver. 32nd at Martinsville, 36th at Homestead, 30th at Las Vegas, 35th at, are we carding old people or are we reading off finishes for a driver? 13th at Talladega, a 5th at Kansas, hooray, throw a party, but 15th at Bristol, 22nd at Watkins Glen, 17th in Atlanta, 20th at Darlington. I'm sorry, Ty Gibbs fans. I am absolutely sorry that I have to give you the Ty Gibbs worse than 11.5, but it's just documented proof at this point. And I get it. I know that you guys love him to death, and he's going to be great next year. And he got a 3rd place finish in the spring, and you're going to celebrate that, and that's great. But he had a 21st and a 28th also on top of that. And not to mention all of the finishes that I just read off to you earlier. So it's yeah, he started the season off promising. All right. That 10th place in Atlanta, that 5th place at Vegas, that 3rd place at Phoenix, that 9th place at Bristol, the 3rd place at Austin. We thought this is his season. And look, we both said the same thing too. We were like, hey man, Ty Gibbs off to a great start. Right. And then it followed into the next couple of weeks. We said, all right, Ty Gibbs, top 10 car, Ty Gibbs, top 5 car. We gave him out a couple of times. And then he goes and finishes 16th at Richmond, 19th at Martinsville, 13th at Texas. And then we start to say, hey, this might not look good. Cody kept giving him out, but I kept saying no, because now we're witnessing the sophomore slump. And then all of a sudden, 22nd at Talladega, 10th at Dover, 32nd at Kansas, right? And then he said 2nd at Darlington, 6th at Charlington, just to shut me up. But again, this is not based on anything other than what the numbers are telling me, because the numbers are telling me that he is not going to finish this race better than 11.5. It's just, there's just not enough there for me to move the needle on a top 10 finish for Ty Gibbs this week. It's not there. I don't see it. And if he gets me, he gets me. But I mean, if you put the worst then on this one over the last month and a half, you're hitting it every time. So give me Ty Gibbs worse than 11.5. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to.
I am too, Rob, because I have no defense against your words. So
I'm just.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong, and I think you have to go with the worst then side of things and root for the. This is one of those. This is the emotional hedge, Rod. You bet against the Huskers. If they lose, you make money. If they win, it doesn't happen very often. So rejoice. That's where we're at with Ty Gibbs currently.
Well, and I've been the better than guy all season long.
But
so
hey,
that's me ending
Gibbs
on a
fans, you just you hold tight, strap in, right? Tune back in a couple of weeks when we're talking about those championship odds for next year. I'll get you hyped up and ready for 2025. All aboard the Ty Gibbs train. But in the meantime, Rod,
I'll tell you, but no, next year he won't be a sophomore anymore. So there's no more sophomore slump. So I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you when you're like, oh, Rod, you told me last season Ty Gibbs was the worst driver in the entire world. No, I told you he was going through a rough patch. I told you he was going through a sophomore slump. I also told you that I think he's going to get out of it and that he's going to be one of the better drivers in the sport over the course of his career. But how can you not? Yeah, I'm sorry. I will be back on Ty Gibbs
That's
later.
enough Ty Gibbs slander, Rod. Well, we get it, okay. But no, I do agree with you. I think that just the way things are kind of going right now, it's one of those deals. Honestly, he might be looking forward to vacation because it's kind of like the same Mayer deal we talked about. And I hate to say Gibbs and Mayer in the same breath. I know his fans aren't fans of Mayer, but just like everything's gone so horribly down the stretch. It's just like, get this. Oh, just end it already. Get it over with. Let's get on to vacation and start focusing on winning 5 races next year, Rod, which is what Ty Gibbs is going to be doing. So, all right. Next up for me, Chase Briscoe, better than 13.5. Who's making these projections on Underdog? I don't know. Boy, I don't know what they're doing
You
over
like
here, but
you like
I
it.
love this.
Yeah.
Just don't nobody tell them to let them leave it up there. 13.5. Rod, here's his finishes at Phoenix Raceway. First couple of starts, not great. After that, 5 starts ago, 2022 March race in the spring, leads 101 laps, wins the race, first time here in the next gen car. Since then, in the next gen car, he's been good. 4th place in the fall of 22. So, didn't take that race off, right? 7th place in the spring of 2023. 24th last fall. Things happen, right? He did lead a couple laps, but just didn't have a good day. 9th place, though, when they came back here in the spring. You like that? You go back and you look at, what has he done this year? Well, the number one thing that jumps out to me, New Hampshire, Roddy finished in 2nd place in New Hampshire, the most comparable track to this, or another short flat track that he's very good at. He's sort of slipped into the Eric Almirola shoes of being a Stuart Haas guy that's good at short flats. Then he's going to go to Gibbs next year, which is really good at short flats anyways, and add to that, which is great. But Bristol a couple of weeks ago, short track, right? 8th place finish out of him there. Little disappointed at Martinsville last week. That was more strategy that didn't get him there. He was running top 10 for a bit. And that's just that those types of things are going to happen, right? But that's how it can go. So you go back to Martinsville in the spring, 10th place finish there. A lot of other good runs. Of course, the 9th place finish here in the spring as well. So all over Chase Briscoe. Love him. Also, so a couple of things on this, on Chase Briscoe. Again, you're looking forward, he's going to Gibbs next year. He's got a lot to look forward to, right? Are we wanting to just kind of end the season, just kind of get over things? Well, not the way he's been running here lately, because 15th, 12th place the last 2 weeks. So those are pretty good finishes there. Also, he's an Indiana kid who grew up idolizing Tony Stewart, right? Tony Stewart was his idol. Tony Stewart's from Indiana. Chase Briscoe's from Indiana. Love Tony Stewart. Then he gets in with Stuart Haas in the Xfinity program, tears it up. He's winning 9 races a year, right? Competing for him. Tony Stewart comes to his house or invites him to his house. I don't remember, one of the two. And they're having dinner. And he's like, hey, you get to drive my number 14 car that Tony retired in. It was a big thing. And that's what every kid wants. You grow up and your idol is giving you his jersey. Here, wear my number for my team. That's what he wants. It's coming to an end, right? This is the last race for Stuart Haas. They're going away. Haas Automation is going to remain. It's sort of a different team almost. So this is it. This is the end of the road for Stuart Haas. The last time that Briscoe is going to be out there in the 14 in Tony Stewart's number, driving for his idol in the car. He's looking forward to the 19 car next year. I can promise you that, right? It's a very good car. But he wants to go out on top, making Tony Stewart proud. And all he has to do is finish in the top 13 for this. Hell yes. I love it. Give me Chase Briscoe. Better than 13.5.
Yeah. We talked at length about the Fords and how we think they're going to do. And I think with you guys, I think you're right. These Stuart Haas guys, Priest, especially Briscoe, well, maybe not so much Barry, but all these guys want to go out on a high note, and they've all got rides for the most part, except for Priest. But I mean, they're ready for it. So, all right. I'll give you another Ford driver, but I think he's on the worst side of his projection, and that is Brad Keselowski. How did I go out on 2 worse thens on the season? Am I really that sour today? Did that bus really piss me off enough to where I'm taking the worst part of these? Who knows? Anyways, Brad Keselowski, his projection is set at 12.5. I'm going to take the worst then. And honestly, look, I know that he finished 9th at Martinsville last week. I do. But he also finished 17th at Miami in Homestead, 36th at Vegas, 23rd on the Roval. Got a good second place finish in Talladega, but I mean, a stiff breeze could get there. 22nd at Kansas, 26th at Bristol, 26th at the Glen, 19th in Atlanta, 14th at Darlington. Over the last couple of months, there's been 2 finishes better than this 12.5 projection for Brad Keselowski. And again, this is another instance in which earlier in the season, we were on Brad, we were on Busher, we were on RFK. We were saying how great they were doing. We were saying that 4th place at Phoenix earlier, that 3rd place at Bristol, that 8th place at Richmond, that 2nd place at Texas, that 2nd at Dega, 11th at Kansas. He won Darlington. He finished 2nd at Charlotte. He finished 3rd at Gateway, but then fell off a cliff. Right? 13th at Sonoma, 10th at Iowa, 28th at New Hampshire, 25th at Nashville, 18th at Chicago, 7th at Pocono. Okay. 21st at Indy. I'm not going to finish reading off his finishes because they've just not been all that fantastic, right? Here on this track, he finished 4th in the spring. That's great. That's fantastic. But before that, as a driver of the 6 car, 15th in the fall of 2023, 18th in the spring of 2023, 35th in the fall of 2022, 23rd in the spring of 2022. So he's got one. He's 1 for 6 or 1 for 5 in this 6 car in finishing better than 12.5 on this track. And it's just, we know they're talented. We know he's talented. We know he gets around this track. We know he can do good things on these shorter, flatter tracks. But if you want to talk about being on vacation, it almost feels like RFK is like, all right, well, we'll regroup. We'll lick our wounds. We'll try to just keep our equipment clean, and we'll ride off into the sunset, and we'll come back next year charging hard. So they got another charter next year, right? Aren't they getting another charter? So
Likely, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's another opportunity for them to get there. But right now, I don't foresee Brad Keselowski in a top 12 finishing position at the end of the day. Could he do it? Would it surprise me? Well, actually, truthfully, yes. Only because it hasn't happened in a while. So, yeah, give me Brad Keselowski worse than 12.5.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this. The only thing that would scare me a little is he was super fast at Martinsville last week, but even then, like, he barely held on for 9th place. So
think of what happened in the front of the pack to get that there too. I mean, there was some stuff that went down that I don't think he would have finished 9th.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with this. I think RFK has just been off. Like, we saw such a great run last year, Buescher winning all those races, and Brad finally broke through and won again this season to break the winless streak, but it's been rough down the stretch. And yeah, I think that they may go into the offseason licking their wounds. So I won't argue with you on this one.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to be like Debbie Downer to end the season, but I guess because look,
we're here to give out winners, Rod. It doesn't matter. Like,
true.
That's the part of this. Whether you like a guy, whether you don't like a guy, like, we're here to give out winners. I love Sam Mayer. I tore him to shreds on the Xfinity Series show this week. Like, I bet against him multiple ways. I don't think he's going to have a good day. I think he's super talented. I'm excited to see him in a Haas automation car next year, but not this week.
I'd love to let NASCAR drivers do shows about us. Just try to like predict how well we're doing on picks.
What's Zeeb's performance going to be this week? I think he's going to go 0-3 on his outrights, hit a top 10, and miss on his head-to-heads. All right, back to you.
They come back with all of the stats. Are like, over the last 4 races, Rod has hit 2 of his top 10 picks, and he's like,
oh yeah, you got like, no, and then they could break it down. Short flat tracks. This is Cody's specialty. Like, he's good here, but then you go to a mile and a half and like, oh, just don't touch Zeeb's picks this week. That would be great. It's like the driver's only broadcast.
Oh, that'd be so fantastic. All right, guys, if you really want to do that, I am so game. Just contact me and we'll put this together because that'd be fun to do it. I'd love to hear them give me a grade on this. But all right, Cody, let's go over our
Zeeb gave out Brandon Jones 14 times. He's missed him in a row. Oh, fuck. There would be a stat like that. Some guy that I'm just on constantly that I never hit on. Like, fuck.
And Rod's blind hatred for Ty Gibbs has led him to be 1 for 14 on picking him on these ones. So it's like, all right, great. Thanks. Thanks guys. We love you. And we'll continue to do that. But look, the funny part is that I have zero ego. So like, if you pick me to shreds like that, I'd be
actually, yeah. If somebody's bored this offseason, wants to go back and compile some stats, I'd like to see where I need to improve.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I ain't too proud to beg. But all right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our underdog picks for one final time this season. Cody gave you Tyler Reddick better than 6.5. I'm sorry. 2024 Cup Series champion Tyler Reddick better than 6.5. Sophomore slumping Ty Gibbs, I gave you worse than 11.5, who, by the way, will be a junior next year, no longer a sophomore, so Rod can be on him once again. Rejoice, Ty Gibbs fans. Cody gave you Chase Briscoe better than 13.5, and I said that Brett K would be worse than 12.5 in the NASCAR championship race. Cody, you know, every time we sit down to do a DFS episode, we're always like, yeah, we can keep this one short. It doesn't have to be that long. and then
Hey, it's the last one of the season, Rod. We're milking the full clock all the way to a full hour here. We've reached the end, Rod. This is the end of the playoffs, end of the championship episodes. But don't worry, we'll be back next week. We don't have the official schedule figured out just yet, but there's going to be recap shows, probably multiple, some other fun stuff coming down the pike for you this off season. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be here all off season. We'll have multiple shows a week still. Probably won't be 5 days a week like it is currently, but we're still going to be around plenty. There is so much to talk about. Silly season news, all the driver changes, all of that stuff. We're going to go back and recap, championship picks. What did we have early in the season? What did we think of, guys? Go back and recap all of that stuff. Win totals. I know we talked about all that stuff during the offseason. Then, Rod, as those things come out, championship odds for next year, November 16th. That was the first time I gave you out Tyler Reddick to win this championship. That's 10 days from right now. No, that's 8 days from right now. What day is it? It's Friday, right? Okay, yeah. 8 days from right now, Rod. Oops. And yeah, so championship odds will come out early. Daytona 500 odds are out early. We'll get Champ 4 odds. All sorts of future stuff that's going to be out. And we'll be talking about it all off season. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We appreciate it. And in the meantime, Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. NFL preview articles constantly coming out. I got betting articles up for the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series this week. Shout out to Adam. Tell him thank you very much. Appreciate him for letting us do that. And yeah, a lot of other good, fun stuff. And we'll see you next week. We'll recap all the championships, celebrate the Tyler Reddick Championship, the Cole Custer Championship, and Grant Enfinger getting it done, Rod. Can't wait.
Indeed. Yes. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Listen, if you want us to read phone books over the offseason, send us your phone book. We will read phone books for content. It doesn't matter to me. I want to keep this
phone book
active. Oh, my God. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio with a picture of what a phone book is for those of you who don't remember. Yeah. And then, of course, you can find all my other work there, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. Make sure
I remember. My grandma used to sit on one of those when she was driving.
So did I, by the way. So just
you still do, don't you?
Well, I mean, depends on which phone book, but yeah. Check out the Back Road In Between Media on YouTube. We're breaking down the championship race there as well. Love each and every one of you. Thank you for a fantastic 2024 season, but it's not over. We still got another week to go, so keep an eye out for our recap show and the rest of the week. So, Cody, thanks for hanging with me for a third season, my friend.
Rod, let's go racing.
And let it ride.